For any nuclear power, the worst-case scenario is having its arsenal destroyed on the ground before it can ever be used. India has long grappled with this vulnerability. Silos and mobile launchers are predictable and vulnerable. A truly survivable deterrent, one that could guarantee a response, seemed elusive. But a new solution has quietly emerged, a delivery method that can move nuclear launchers to any part of the country, virtually unopposed and with astonishing speed. It hides in plain sight, blending seamlessly into the nation's circulatory system of commerce. It moves silently across the landscape. Nothing about it betrays the immense power waiting inside. At a moment's notice, it can halt and rain unprecedented destruction on the world. For decades, India's nuclear deterrent relied on a mixture of fixed bases and lumbering road mobile launchers. These systems provided reach, but as surveillance satellites multiplied and missile accuracy sharpened, they also became increasingly vulnerable. By the early 2020s, Indian planners recognized the danger. Fixed silos could be located and destroyed by a first strike. Road-based launchers were bound by highways and subject to surveillance. Additionally, in the chaos of a nuclear war, roads and highways might be too congested or unavailable. That's where the idea of the AGY Prime, or AGY P, a new generation medium-range ballistic missile designed to replace the aging AGY 1 and AGY 2, comes in. With a range up to 2,000 kilometers, the AGY P was tailored to cover all of Pakistan and parts of southern China. It was canisterized, meaning it sat sealed in a launch container, protected from the elements and capable of firing within minutes. This technology, borrowed from longer-range AGY 4 and AGY 5 designs, gave India's Strategic Forces Command a weapon that was fast, accurate, and portable. The September 2025 test from a rail-based launcher was the logical next step. After years of road trials and user tests, the missile was ready to prove that it could be launched not just from a truck on a highway, but from a train car, moving anywhere across India's 70,000-kilometer rail network. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh hailed the launch as placing India among a select group of nations with the ability to fire long-range missiles from trains. For India, it was more than a technological milestone. It was the unveiling of a new leg in its nuclear deterrent. At first glance, the launcher looks like an ordinary freight car, but its roof is split into clamshell doors, its sides hinge open, and on top sits an extendable arm designed to push away overhead electric lines during firing. This detail is critical. India's broad-gauge network is almost entirely electrified, so a missile system had to account for live wires strung above every track. When the train halts at a chosen stretch of track, the car transforms. Roof doors swing wide, the missile canister elevates to the vertical, and compressed gas ejects the missile upwards before its first-stage motor ignites. This cold launch technique spares the train from the full blast of the rocket, igniting only once the missile clears the carriage. The sides of the car open as well, venting exhaust safely away from the train body. Within seconds, the AGY P streaks skyward, carrying either a conventional or nuclear warhead. The launcher is fully self-contained. It carries its own power, its own communications, and is designed to fire independently if ordered by the National Command Authority. India's Defense Research and Development Organization emphasizes that the system requires no preconditions on the rail route. It can operate from any standard stretch of track, without special pads or reinforced segments. The strategic beauty lies in mobility and concealment. India's railway web reaches every corner of the subcontinent, from the Himalayas to the coasts. Missile trains can blend in with ordinary freight, stationed in tunnels, or shipped hundreds of kilometers overnight. Thousands of kilometers of track, hundreds of tunnels, and a sea of decoy freight cars mean that spotting a missile train is like hunting for a needle in a nation-sized haystack. India's nuclear doctrine is based on a no-first-use policy. Its credibility depends not on striking first, but on guaranteeing that if struck, it can hit back hard enough to deter. Rail mobile missiles fit this doctrine perfectly. They're elusive, constantly on the move, and extremely difficult to destroy in a preemptive strike. As analysts point out, silos are sitting targets, and road-based launchers have their limits. Trains, on the other hand, can hide in plain sight, weaving across the subcontinent. In a crisis, an enemy cannot know if the boxcar in a rail yard hides grain, coal, or a nuclear missile. This uncertainty forces adversaries to assume the worst, thereby bolstering deterrence. The system is also cost-effective. Nuclear submarines provide survivability, but they're expensive to build and maintain. A rail-mobile missile, by contrast, uses infrastructure India already possesses. For the price of decoy cars and modified launch wagons, India can vastly complicate an enemy's targeting calculus. Yet there is an edge of ambiguity. The AGY P is not just survivable, it's also precise. Reports suggest a circular error of only about 10 meters. That level of accuracy implies potential counterforce missions, strikes against an enemy's own nuclear forces. Critics argue this undercuts India's no first-use pledge and hints at a more flexible, possibly preemptive posture. Pakistan reacted with alarm to the unveiling of the AGY P. Its Foreign Office has repeatedly warned that India's expanding missile arsenal, quote, undermines peace, security, and strategic stability. Analysts in Islamabad point out that AGY P's range is tailor-made for Pakistan. To counter this, Pakistani strategists emphasize the need for their own arsenal, calling for a stronger sea-based deterrent and accelerating work on nuclear-powered submarines. The fear is clear. A mobile, elusive Indian missile force could render Pakistan's deterrent vulnerable. China took quieter notice. On the day of the September 2025 test, a Chinese tracking vessel, the Yuan-5, loitered in the Indian Ocean, collecting telemetry. Beijing downplayed the event in public, with state media insisting China does not seek an arms race. Still, the test will have been noted in China's defense planning. While a 2,000-kilometer missile does not threaten Beijing, a fleet of such missiles deployed in India's north could hold key Chinese cities at risk. China itself has experimented with a rail-mobile version of its DF-41 intercontinental missile, suggesting that it values the same survivability India now seeks. The United States and others acknowledge the technical achievement, but stop short of strong commentary. American analysts, familiar with the Cold War's own flirtation with rail-mobile ICBMs, understand the logic. International think tanks like the IISS highlighted the system's potential dual role, nuclear or conventional. A rail-mounted precision missile, they noted, could strike deep into enemy territory, even without a nuclear payload, adding another dimension to India's growing long-range strike options. India's missile train is not an isolated experiment. The Soviets pioneered the concept in the 1980s with the RT-23 Moldets, running 3-car missile trains across their vast territory. These carried intercontinental missiles armed with multiple nuclear warheads, hiding among ordinary rail traffic until the order came. The United States sketched its own plan, the Peacekeeper Rail Garrison, but canceled it with the end of the Cold War. China is testing rail options for its newest ICBMs. North Korea, in 2021, unveiled a crude but functional rail-mobile system for its short-range missiles, conducting launches from disguised boxcars. The logic is universal. In an age where satellites watch every move and precision strikes threaten every bunker, mobility is the ultimate shield. India's entry into this club shows both ambition and pragmatism. It recognizes that deterrence in South Asia depends on convincing rivals that any first strike would fail. Yet the step also sharpens regional anxieties. Pakistan sees its already precarious balance slipping further out of control. China, though less directly threatened, must now account for a neighbor that can hide nuclear-capable missiles across an immense railway web. The test in September 2025 was only the beginning. More trials will follow, and deployment is likely in the years ahead. As missile trains roll into India's arsenal, they reshape not only its own deterrent, but the entire strategic equation of South Asia.